Whoa, there is so much information about art out there. It's kind of overwhelming. What's the right way to start? How do you really learn art? What if you get it wrong? Stop. Don't worry. It's not actually that scary. Learning art can get pretty complicated, but I'll try to simplify it and break it down so that hopefully you'll have a better idea of how to get started. Okay, so there's one question that I get asked all the time. Am I too old to start drawing? Maybe you've already seen people half your age that are already accomplished artists, and you know that learning art is something that's gonna take a while. The answer is, of course not. Plenty of artists start later on in life. Vincent van Gogh started painting at 27, which isn't even late, by the way. The best time to start learning anything was 10 years ago. But the second best time is now. Imagine yourself 10 years later, wishing you had started right now. So now that you've decided to start, how can you actually start learning how to draw? A quick note about tools before we begin. You don't need fancy tools to start drawing. Pencil and paper are more than enough. If you happen to have a graphics tablet, that also works. A lot of the things you'll learn will be transferable, so don't sweat the details too much. The first thing you can try is drawing from reference. Just find a picture of something you like, or find something in real life. While you're doing that, pay attention to the proportions and try to copy accurately. For example, how large are certain shapes compared to each other? How close are they? What are the angles of the lines that you see? If you're interested in drawing stylized art, it might be easier to try copying somebody else's art. But just remember to give credit if you do. Real life has so many details that can be kind of hard to remember. The benefit of copying stylized art is that it simplifies it all down so it's a bit more manageable. Okay, so we're just copying for now, and it feels like this should be easy, right? After all, you have the reference image right in front of you, but are you finding it more difficult than expected? Why is that? There's one reason you might be struggling with this, and that is because your observation skills haven't been developed yet. This, of course, makes perfect sense because you're just starting out. So what does this actually mean? It means that you have to learn to draw what you see, not what you think you see. Those are two very different things. For example, when a non-artist is told to draw a face, they usually do something like this. The eyes are around here, right? But if you look at any photograph of a person, you'll notice that the eyes are actually about the midway point down the head. That's what I mean by drawing what you see instead of what you think. You need to put information into your brain to learn anything, and having good observation skills means that that information is quality and accurate. But there could be another reason that your drawings aren't coming out like you want them to. Perhaps your lines are simply not going where you want them to. Are they wobbly? Or if you're a digital artist, maybe you're pressing the undo button over and over again trying to get the right line. If this is your problem, maybe consider doing some line control practice. Drawing lines as an artist isn't exactly the same thing as writing. It involves a lot more shoulder and elbow movement to get those long, smooth lines. As you keep drawing, your line control will gradually improve, but you can also do deliberate practice, like this. Try drawing straight lines, curved lines, circles, anything you'd like to practice. Then try tracing over those lines you just drew to practice your accuracy. Doing this exercise 1 to 2 times will already improve your control. You can do it as many times as you like. Personally, I still do this now and again. So let's say you're drawing from reference and you're thinking, copying stuff is fine and good, but how can I actually draw those scenes, those characters that I see in my head? What if you want to start drawing from imagination? And I'm here to tell you that you can start doing it by just doing it. Seriously. I know this is probably not what you want to hear, because your first drawings from imagination, they're probably not going to look so good. That's fine. This is a skill that you're learning. You don't have to show anyone if you don't want to. More importantly, if you're not satisfied, you can use this as a learning opportunity. Compare it with a similar reference, for example, and see what they did differently. For instance, here's a picture of a cat I drew from imagination. I guess it's not so bad, but when I compare it to a reference photo, you can see that the eyes are rounder and the nose bridge is a little bit narrower. Even one single observation is enough. Just remember to keep it in mind for your next drawing. Here's something you can try if you want to improve. Try drawing something from imagination. Then compare it to a reference to see what you can improve on, and draw it again from reference. Then draw it again from imagination and just keep alternating between the two. Try drawing it from lots of different angles and you'll start to intuitively understand the 3D form of what you're drawing. But wait, hang on. That sounds good and all, but just do it? Surely there has to be more to it than that, right? That sounds too simple. If you're starting with a blank canvas, how do you even get started? Which part are you supposed to draw first? If this is something you're struggling with, it's a good time to check out some art tutorials for whatever it is you want to draw. For example, a tutorial for an anime head will look something like this. There are artists that don't like tutorials like these because sometimes these tutorials aren't grounded in good fundamentals. At least that's what I used to think as well. But wait, art fundamentals? What are those? More on that later. When I was watching my partner draw for the first time, there was something that I realized. He was pretty confused about which part of the picture to draw first. You could see by his process how chaotic it was. Like he'll draw the eyebrow here and then later on draw a section of the face. It just doesn't really make very much sense. A good basic tutorial can help bring some structure to the process. It might not be useful forever, but it serves as a pretty good starting point. It's also good for practicing and understanding the importance of guidelines. If you ever find yourself confused about where to begin a drawing, that's where these tutorials might help. So let's say you've been diligently practicing, but then you look at your work and you think, wow, I'm really not very good at this, am I? Maybe I'm not cut out for it, or maybe I'm not talented enough. My drawings look a little bit like the scribblings of a child. Okay, don't panic. It's actually harder to start drawing as an adult for one main reason. Here's a graph to demonstrate what I mean. Assuming you're a learning artist, as time goes on, you get better at art. Your skill increases. That makes sense. But it's not the only important thing here. You also have to consider your taste or ability to judge good art. It also improves as you draw. But that's not the only thing that can improve your taste. It also gets better as you consume media. Movies, art, anything. Which means that if you're starting as an adult, your ability to see art is already all the way up here. And if you just started drawing, your ability to draw is down here. This means that it'll take time for your art ability to catch up to your good taste. You'll be stuck making art that you don't like for a while. Now, children don't have this problem because their taste isn't as developed as an adult's. They draw not so well, and they can't tell, so they just keep going. And it can be tough for an adult because it'll take time, maybe even a lot of time, before they can make art that they're actually happy with. This is just gonna take a while, so you're gonna have to be patient. Instead of focusing on the final result, try focusing on what you're learning and the meditative process of the drawing itself. And that's it. That's all you actually need to learn how to draw. Just keep repeating this process as necessary. This is the process I used to learn to draw like this. This is some of my old art. And you might be thinking, wait, doesn't that seem a little too easy? There has to be more than that. How do you even know you're practicing the right thing? So let me introduce you to art fundamentals, because there are actually fundamentals and concepts you can study and learn to get better at art. But remember, just having fun and drawing what you want can take you pretty far. Mileage is important. But if you do want to take your art to that next level, I'll give you a brief rundown of some fundamentals that you could look into. 1. Perspective and construction. Learn to draw by breaking objects down into 3D shapes. 2. Gesture. Draw characters with energy and movement. 3. Anatomy. Learning the actual bones and muscles of the body. 4. Color theory. Learning which colors to use and why. 5. Composition. Deliberately organizing elements on your canvas to make your illustration more impactful. So I haven't listed them all, but all of these are important aspects of art, all of which deserve and have entire books covering them. I'll put some in the description if you're interested, and I also have some videos you could check out. If you've gotten this far, you might be thinking, whoa, that's a lot I have to learn. And people often ask me how I manage to stay motivated to learn all of this stuff. The secret is, I don't. I practice art because I love and enjoy it. I know I say it a lot, but I can't overstate the importance of enjoying what you do. Imagine doing something you hate for thousands and thousands of hours and not even getting paid for it. Cause can you imagine that? I know I sure can't. Even when doing something as pedestrian as simply drawing boxes, I'm finding ways to have fun. I don't have a study schedule. I only study and draw things I feel like drawing. Just remember, fun comes before fundamentals. We all learn art a little differently, so I'm just giving suggestions that worked for me. Something else might work better for you, but you won't know until you try. Draw the subscribe button from reference if this helped you at all. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye! Wait, am I muted? Oh, thank God I'm not. Okay. Excuse me. I think you might find what I'm about to say really unexpected. My nose is stuffed.